installed,
Yeah,
right?
probably C# as well.
You know, so it all compiles, right? Um, but
Yeah,
launching,
you won't be able to run you won't be able to run it with the Azurite extension from the Microsoft store. You have to get a specific version of it. So let me get the npm command for that.
okay,
I think it's in the README.
yeah, and
And
then
even
so this just to give this Mac here, I haven't done any of this kind of framework development on. This is kind of a relatively new Mac, so I don't even have Homebrew and stuff installed on here, so I'm gonna have to get something to run npm. And then
Started from
I look
scratch.
at it, it's just like, and then the Homebrew, I look at it, and on the Homebrew on the Mac, it wants to change permissions of user local when you go to install Homebrew. I'm like, what?
so Adam, did you ever think you would see Microsoft being the biggest contributor to Node in the world?
Yeah, I
Right.
do. They always
Were they
they
always
do
there?
that. They do
Yeah.
that to a lot of stuff. They also claim that they're the largest Linux contributor, and the only reason they're the largest Linux contributor is because they were forced to make hypervisor, commits to make sure that Linux ran in Azure. Otherwise, they're going to miss out on all that delicious money from coming in from Linux servers.
Yeah,
Isn't there a term?
What,
Isn't there
like-
a term adapt, embrace, and extinguish?
No, it's
something
all
like that?
E's. It's
Oh,
extend.
no.
Embrace.
Embrace and extend.
and then extinguish or something like that. And
Embrace,
that's
extinguish.
the
Yep.
those are the words that are haunting Microsoft for a long time, because any of their efforts that they do, they people just say that this is just another one. Well, I mean, any company needs to survive, so they're gonna be predatory to anything that they can get their hands on. They have their PR departments to, that's just any company when they're in competition, right?
Yeah. Although they're trying to change that culture a little bit, but it's so embedded. Right.
I mean, I take that over what AWS is doing, man. Like straight up taking open source projects, like, hey, here it is, a paid version of it.
Who?
It's cool. I guess I prefer that over like closed source, but yeah, it's kind of
Who's this? Sorry, Yurtis, I missed what you said.
AWS. They're
Oh,
like taking like
AWS? Oh, yeah,
Grafana,
they
this
do,
and
yeah.
that, like
They do that too,
Prometheus.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
here's a hoster for you, pay us. Like,
Yeah.
man,
I had
as
a
long as
meme
they
for that.
contribute
Oh,
back
let me
to, like,
find that
pay
meme.
money.
That was a
Yeah.
good meme. We can share memes if you want. So,
yeah.
I'm never asking Yoris about another cartoon as long as I live.
Why?
There might be more tattoos there, man.
Are you getting a tattoo now, Rob?
No.
Oh, you're watching One Piece?
Are you gonna show us something, Rob? Is that what you're saying?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Come on. I mean, that's me coming from Cuba. Sorry, man. Like, no filter.
Who would you rather see without a shirt, Yurtis or Rob?
Oh, man.
I'd rather see Yoris without a shirt, dude. I know what I look like without a shirt.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, Rob.
That's
Damn
okay.
it. That's what happened. You come out of like a country where
You
like,
should see how these guys treat each other in the office when no one's listening.
yeah. Yeah, we're too family oriented in Cuba though. Like for us, like the filter of like, okay, you should not do that is a little bit higher. Like, okay, wait until you definitely have to be. For us, it's really like family oriented, like who cares, even the work environment. So I'm sorry about that. My bad.
It's okay. It was quite entertaining. So Rick, I posted the command there for you about how to run that version of Azurite from the command line. Unfortunately, it's Windows specific.
Boo. I'm gonna mute you right now.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, man.
Just kidding.
It's Microsoft. They wrote this. Don't blame me. It's an alpha version for Microsoft. So hopefully it'll work. That was one of my concerns in the workshop, is that it was really hard to get support to Linux. And if that doesn't work, then I will create a storage account for you to use.
Can you guys see rooms?
Pardon me?
Can you guys see the rooms, or do I have to assign you
Uh,
manually?
There
I
are
don't
no
see any
rooms.
I guess it's just admin. Boo. Okay, I want to try that thing that JP advertised in
You make
the
people-
workshop.
If you make people co-hosts, they can jump in and out of rooms on their own.
You sure?
Yes.
They said that they couldn't
You
see
sure?
it.
am I on?
I don't see.
You have to create the room.
I
But I
did.
don't
I
know.
have them. I have created the breakout rooms. They're
Um,
made, and you guys for some reason can't see them. I don't know.
I mean,
why.
I'm co-host. I don't see it.
Yeah, there's so many weird settings permutations for Zoom that I don't know.
I think the problem is with Zoom is you go to breakout sessions or you stay. I'm not sure. I think you can create the rooms, put certain people in them, and then start the room. You have to start the room.
Yeah, we need to open the rooms. Yeah.
And you can open the rooms. Then the people can leave back to the main session if they want. So you can only put some people in the breakout rooms
Hmm.
and launch it.
Whatever. I think I don't think we have a lot of people. It's fine to just keep it in one room. I like listening to how you're struggling with moving Windows to the
Yeah.
more evil world of Mac
Yeah.
and
Well-
and other things. So yeah.
Windows, the more evil world of Mac. Come on, like this
Well,
Emacs versus VI.
at least you can run whatever you want on Windows.
Well,
Never got
I'll
into.
give them that.
Wait, what
I'm a
happened
sol-
with Mac?
Yeah.
I love Mac.
okay, so
Anyway,
so basically, it looks like in order to get npm working on this thing, I'm going to have to install Homebrew. Is that the?
Homebrew you should have on Mac. I'm not sure why you haven't had it already.
Yeah, it doesn't
Most
come
people have it.
fresh
It's the most
anymore.
common thing to install. In fact, you can get Brew for Linux.
Rick, why don't I
do the
just
same thing?
get you a, like, there's another, I mean, rather than you having to install a bunch of stuff you may or may not want, I could just create a storage account for you in the cloud and give you the connections. And you just would replace that, and you would then be writing up to the cloud, and we'll give you Azure Storage. You can then download Azure Storage Explorer, and as it goes in and out.
Yeah.
It's on my personal account, so I can only leave that up for a couple of days.
What are you guys doing, by the way?
What? We're trying to get some workshop code we were just working on running in Visual Studio Code.
Actually, the Azurite table service does run on Mac. It seems your commands there seem to work.
Oh, okay, great. So,
I think it probably works. I don't mind trying to. It's just I'm looking at so the Homebrew install that I found. Basically, it wants to change permissions of user local.
No, Homebrew Homebrew actually tells you that do not give any permissions to Homebrew installation.
I
Yeah.
like to install things without installing them on system-wide stuff. So I've
Yeah.
done this with a lot of frameworks and stuff where like Yarn and other things, where I look at the source code of the damn thing and try to actually get the paths and everything done so it's sitting somewhere in my dev folder, in my home folder. And that way I don't have to do any kind of like things that impact other applications. And so then I just point my IDE paths to those directories. So if I want to have like npm just running without, with no -g or whatever, I want it to all just be sitting there in the home folder or part of the dev folder or whatever. And I don't need to have system-wide stuff. Now, some of them you do have to do things like hosts entries. Sometimes those things need to have system level stuff.
Yep. Rick,
Yes.
I can. Do you know Ansible by any chance? I mean, it's simple, but I can share with you how I set up my environment for
It's
Node.js.
nice to know. Eurydice, did you know that this used to be the Ansible meetup group?
Really?
I started it.
So I don't use Homebrew anymore.
I just want to, basically the reason I would install Homebrew is to get npm, right? 'Cause
Yep.
that's what I need. So
You can just clone it, Rick.
yeah, so
There's
basically,
ways to just take a tarball and just put it in your home
Wait, yeah,
folder.
but for Node.js itself, you could just download it and that's it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Go
and
to
just put
Node.js, download, click on it, and it would install.
Yeah, just adjust your path if you want, and then you're done.
okay.
I Are you using IntelliJ, Rick?
Me, no, I'm this Mac is has not been set up for any kind of code. You know,
That's okay. We'll get you going. You can
placed it
share
up-
your
I've
screen if
placed
you want.
So basically, you know, I've got the ID going. I've like, you know, I mean, I've done simple code stuff on it, but it's not stuff that need framework. So I just like, that works great. You know, Hello Worlds, those kind of things, easy to get going on anything. You know, little compiles. But when you
Well,
start
while you
framework,
figure that out,
serious.
why don't we go around the room and say how your year was, what the highlights of during the 2020, if any, or what your challenges were, and what your plans are for 2021. We can start with Yordis.
Wait, me?
Haha, I got you.
I mean, probably the best year in 7-8 years since I came to United States. So I pay all my debt, so that's amazing. I started, you know, hanging out with you here, which is amazing as well. I'm happy with the job I have so far, so that's good. So that's it. But main highlight, not that. that's a huge one. I don't want more debt in life. Let's go for Rafa. You go.
Well, what about next year? What do you want to do?
Oh, next year.
Yeah.
I think getting out of debt now, I start investing my money, and doing so probably gonna have room for have fun stuff and buy whatever I want when after you're disciplined with it. And I don't know. I haven't think too much about it. Just keep doing what I'm doing for the last year or so. It's working out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's next? Who wants to go next? No one.
I'm going to
Question
continue.
is, what did you like about this year, if anything, or other things you want to talk about this year, or yeah.
You try
and
to
then-
be positive, hey?
yeah, trying really hard. Yeah. And then what are your plans for next year? And then what's your favorite and least favorite Christmas song?
Oh,
Mariah Carey's.
Yes, thank you. Now I
uh,
know what I'm putting on YouTube.
my favorite thing about 2020, I think, was the fact that it finally woke enterprises up to the fact that yes, people can work remotely and be effective.
That is good. That is
Yeah,
actually
that is
very
good. Yeah.
We're never rewinding that back. It's a whole new
No, and
yeah.
yeah, and in Vancouver we had that great example. I mean, Shopify was going to rent a big portion of the Amazon or of a new building space near Amazon and hire 1,000 people. They're going ahead with that, but they're not doing any local building here in Vancouver. They said everybody can work remote. So that's kind of cool.
I wonder what they're going to do to the three massive towers kitty corner each other that have been under construction for a year.
I think Shopify just had an intent to lease, and I think they didn't actually sign anything. So I think they're going back on that.
Wow.
And then, but Amazon has got that huge building going up in the old post office. That's still happening.
And then kitty corner, there's another brand new building with these weird cubes that are sticking out of the
yeah.
side. That's also Amazon.
Is that them as well?
Yeah.
Weird
And then right
cubes.
beside Intel's garden is Amazon.
Amazon.
Oh,
will-
that thing.
Amazon will take up whatever space that the city lets them.
Like the Borg.
They've got the corporate mindset of not going to the suburb campus model, right?
Right.
And thing. And so, you know, what they did, and it's like, you know, that downtown core hub, being there, having people local, that was, you know, using up city space. That's what worked for them, expansion in Seattle. And they've kept that in most of their places. All their offices are downtown, right? And so they don't need they can just kind of expand downtown, and they can attract the culture of the people in tech that want, if they have to go to work, they want it to be downtown, not in some desolate campus, right?
Yeah, outside of Redmond, Microsoft is doing that as well, because Their campus crew's so big, they create traffic jams every day from 4:30 to 7.
Yeah.
As people try to leave. And so even in Bellevue, there's a huge tower for Microsoft, and it's just Bing.
Yeah.
25 floors of just straight up Bing employees, and right in downtown Bellevue.
So the interesting thing is to see how this kind of more working remote will affect the decision. But I mean, a lot of people, when they want to get together, they want that downtown. I mean, if I got to go into work, I want a place where I have that livelihood. I can go do things after work. I can go out to lunch in interesting places. I don't want to be in like, our equivalent is out in Richmond, right?
Oh yeah, that's
Where you can, like,
whoever's got an office in Richmond next year is going to be brutal.
if
It's
you
like the worst place to commute to.
if you want to go for lunch, you go to the local sandwich tree, right? For a lot of
Oh,
those.
it's horrible.
So now the interesting thing I find is that as few people already said, the ability to work from home has become a realistic thing. And that's, I think the main thing is to make that happen, you have to make it equivalent. It means like when you have a team meeting, you can't have what people used to do is, we have people work from home, but we'd get in a room and do a stand-up, right? But we'd have a phone in the room. So everyone's looking at each other, talking in high fidelity, and the people working from home would be like, pardon, can you lean into the speakerphone? I can't hear what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So that unequivalence, right, made it really tough to work from home. You were left out. Now with, Zoom and Teams meetups becoming the norm. If we're going to have a team meetup, let's put it on video so that if someone's not in the office today, it won't matter, right? So we no longer have to negotiate those kind of quick sync ups to be when everyone's in the office. And I think that's going to be, I'm really kind of looking forward to that, because just, the idea of we get to the office only to do stuff where being together is better, right? Like there is some things, like if you're going to do a certain, like a big room event storming kind of thing, or where you really want to collaborate on something, you get together and have that high interaction, you could do that. But if you're doing a quick event storming, you can use tools, right? With a smaller group. Why force people to come in for that, right?
Yeah,
Tools like Onode, which
I think that there my son basically started to learn remote lessons, right? So everything went remote. The school is totally remote, 100%. And what I've seen, what happens is that he is picking up some skills, social skills, that were not developed during our time when we grew up. And so there are some, small little tiny things, just like, when you talk through a phone, let's say for 10 years, right? Because you are in such a department or whatever, right? Then you can feel even the feelings of your partner that you are talking with, right? And same goes here. I suppose that when this generation grew up, it's going to be extremely interesting how they will operate and cooperate and work together online.
Yeah, they're much more comfortable with. I noticed with my kids when we went out, like they're much more comfortable with just setting up a video chat, leaving it going,
Yeah,
doing their work independently, and then talking to you, hey, check this out, and then go back and
yeah,
do that. That's okay, right? Like you don't have to. Okay, the meeting's on. We're gonna have 10 minutes. We're gonna discuss this close. You could actually collaborate together over line and just like be like a virtual office beside you with your friend, and then once in a while send silly stuff and then do your homework right together.
yeah.
Yep. One thing.
doing that for years with online gaming. And we used to get really concerned, and then we were finding out that he was spending the majority of his time actually meeting people from around the world. So he has invitations now to go to Florida and when he can travel again, Mexico, and I think England as well, with just good friends he's made virtually. He's never met people physically. but he talks to them almost every day.
Yeah.
Rick, about that multitasking type of situation, since I came to United States, I always have like 3 monitors, and one of them was like watching conferences and videos and whatever. And somehow I developed the skills of knowing when to pay attention, right? Like, when people are just saying words and like 3 words are the one that matters, and everything else is like setting up the context. And that's kind of like how it worked for me in meetups or whatever. It's like, okay, now I need to pay attention. I don't know how to explain it, but it's you
Right.
learn when to
You have
switch.
this like built-in filter that kind of
Yeah.
absorbs the important stuff and everything else just ignored.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's,
AI.
that's interesting. It's kind of like there's a it's good and bad, right? Like you can, if you're in a group like this and it's this particular discussion is not that interesting, you can tune out, right?
Hmm.
So people get very used to that, and then trying to get them to shift to when it's time that just everybody, this is the point in time when everyone should be present and have their attention. This is, it's you see some people are still like tuned out, right? So
Yeah,
knowing
but
when
you had the videos.
present, right?
Yeah,
And-
but you shared that you only have the video, so you can go back. So that's why I did it, because at any given point when it actually matters for me, that information, I know I have the opportunity to go back and see what was the theme.
right. And I
So
think
that is a caveat. That, because yeah, I agree with you, but no, that's what matters with me. With me, like, okay, I'm just gonna index information. I know it's there. When I truly need it, go back and use
yeah,
it.
so watching videos and stuff like that's, yeah, definitely, for sure. Things like when you're having a meeting, it used to be like you could look and you'd see someone messing with their phone, right? And you're like, okay, they're not paying attention, that's fine. But then, okay, this is important. Hey, everybody, phones down, let's pay attention. We don't want to have this discussion 15 times or say I didn't notice, right? We need some commitment. And so online, it's a little harder to do that, to know when people aren't paying attention. You have to develop that sense, right? Especially if they don't share their videos, right? Then suddenly,
Yes.
like, there's like, I'm not sharing my videos, so you can't tell when I'm not paying attention.
Yeah, this is crazy.
So it's fine. Like, be okay. Like, find a space where it's okay to share your video so that you can tell when I'm not paying attention. So you can look, hey, wait a minute, pay attention, right?
Yeah.
I think that's, be honest online, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah.
It might be even more weird when someone is watching a movie in parallel simultaneously and then laughing at, and you are doing the conference, but someone is, looking at something and smiling. It's just weird.
True. That's actually me watching Twitch chat. Oh, I'm guilty. I'm
What
sorry.
are you doing? What are you laughing at? Am I missing out on some
Watching
jokes?
Twitch chat? Like, he's saying like some people just like watch YouTube movie or whatever. Like, that's me watching Twitch.
Hey,
on the
Gerbot
Twitch
is talking on YouTube. We have people chatting on YouTube. Yay!
Nice.
So one thing that I find that, with all this kind of switching to online and stuff like that is meetups and things like that, where we're doing these kind of things. When they were physical in Vancouver, right, we were limited to the people that show up from Vancouver, right? And suddenly, if the meetup switches to virtual out of necessity, you suddenly have, it's surprising the number of remote people that you're able to connect to, that have the common interest. So suddenly, how many people here we have that aren't in the Lower Mainland at all, or even in our time zone, right? So
Yo, I was
Exactly.
alone for 3 years watching Greg videos in a loop, and I never had the opportunity to talk to anybody until now. Like, straight out 3 years. I'm not joking. That's all I
Yeah.
did. Like, I can literally like replay Greg talks back. So this is
There
amazing
is
for
one
sure.
really bad thing about things having moved remotely for the most part. And that's when you run a class, it's not just the things that happen in the class.
Hmm.
For me, like when I go teach a class, I'm going to teach roughly the same stuff every day. But after 5 o'clock until about 11, that's when everything is completely different from class to class.
Mhm.
Because you end up going out with the people, having dinner, going out for some drinks, talking for hours.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's and I think we talked about this in Greg and one of the other meetups is the human communication when you see direct feedback from who you're sitting across from. There's that immediate expression reaction that you don't get no matter how good your Zoom connection is.
Yep.
It's how our brains work. It's crazy. And as I was doing all this research for event modeling and like making things better for humans, the idea of conversation and communication, it's really weird how tightly we're wired to actually be in person. So there's some things that we just won't be able to duplicate.
There's also a lot of things like body language.
Yeah.
And there's also me coming over and bringing you a drink. And, now we're going to sit and have a beer is a very different situation than we're sitting on a Zoom chat.
Yeah, exactly.
For certain.
Yeah, that is where even, that is where I don't like the idea of like working remote for the rest of my life. It's like quite depressing.
think
There's
it's
no
good
human
that we,
connection
like,
on it.
If you live super stupid far away and your commute is 4 hours a day, well, there's definitely a plus or minus, a pro and con to being able to, not be in the office 5 days a week. Those people I can see being there on Fridays or something just to let loose and connect and have that beer and get any kind of communication done faster, or a Monday or whatever. But then to have them kill themselves to get there for 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and wake up at 6 or 5 and get back home at 10 p.m. That's just stupid.
I was just having a conversation with my wife about that. Like, so here's December 2020. This is where we play the bat or the big bot or the boss music at the last level of the game. And she's like, actually 2020 was pretty good. Cause like, yeah, no commuting to downtown every day. You lose 3 hours every day. And like, we had so much more time with our son that's kind of, growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think having the opportunity to, or the power of choice is where actually I'm really happy for what is going on. Like, hey, if you want to come. If not, stay home, and like set the companies in a way that allowed that to happen without being such a problem. Like, oh, it's a problem they work from home like 2 weeks if I want it. Like, who cares?
I think
One thing I noticed is how much we tend to overhear when we're at the office. That's important. So like for a while there, when the pandemic wasn't surging here in BC, Tim and Adam and I used to come into the office and just discuss stuff. And then poor old Steve, he's out there in the suburbs. And
Yeah,
you
it
start
sucks.
twice a week just to hear those sort of unofficial conversations. I don't know how we get past that. I guess there has to be a kind of etiquette where we go, oh, that's cool. There has to be a kind of etiquette where, oh, that could be important. I'm going to get it to somebody else.
Yeah.
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 I think the technology isn't, there's something missing about it, as Adam said there. You can't just open that room and say we're just, we're in person or whatever, and we're just having this discussions. So we just like there's the lunchroom thing where it's like, let's go to the lunchroom online, right? And let's just chat there, and whoever shows up, right? And some people might leave the lunchroom open on the side, like Yortis. And so basically, if someone shows up to the lunchroom chat and starts chatting, he'll like, oh, I'm interested or not interested. I'm just sitting at the side of the lunchroom working, essentially. Our technology isn't quite there to support that, right?
Yeah. And
It's two things, not only the technology, the social skills as well, because we need to develop those. Just like people adapt telephones to communicate with someone else. We have like 5-10 years, maybe 15 years of video conferencing, and just because of pandemic, we have like, I don't know, half a year to a year of forced work remote. So still there's lots of things to learn and adapt as a human being as well. And I don't believe that we will transfer 100% sure everything from reality to the virtual conferences, that's for sure. But some of the things will develop and just need time for that.
Yeah, it's kind of been forced, but it's weird because I think I was watching one of Stuart Wardley's presentations, and you know how things move to be more of a commodity for people to fight for price on it because everyone can kind of do that.
Yeah.
The idea that after a pandemic, a functional sort of force to move the world to a different place, you can't go back to the old normal. Like you've pushed video conferencing and the idea of how office space should be priced to a different level, and you've pushed companies to a different way of operating where new things were developed, new patterns were developed, and so a lot of progress has been pushed forward in certain areas, and you can't go reverse that. So you know, this idea that after the pandemic things are going to be back to normal, they're not going to be back to normal. They're going to be better, but they're not going to be the same as they were before.
Yeah. Totally
Too
agree.
much change. It's yeah, especially the commercial real estate stuff.
Well,
At
even
least
more
I don't
than
think
that,
it will be.
I think I saw the CO2 emissions have dropped something crazy amount.
Well, at the very beginning they have, but then they
Yeah.
started to just do the masks, and flights resumed a bit more. So, and also all the goods and services were still being delivered as essential stuff like food and whatever. So the trucks and ships were still adding more. But yeah, for a little short time there was an absolutely like no traffic in LA. And so there's crazy pictures from India where you could see the mountains from cities far away for the first time in many years and stuff like that. So that's kind of neat to see what happens. And then animals were in the roads too. Like you can just see how the human impact on like the wildlife that's next to housing development and all that, how sensitive animals are to the human activity, because once everyone was inside not really going anywhere, all of these different animals were in the streets. That was kind of cool. Like in Italy they had the boars roaming the most of the cities, especially in the north where there's more forests. That's kind of cool. It'll be interesting. Like if there was like an abandoned city, it would be neat to see. I guess you can see Chernobyl, how fast that turns out, and how fast like trees and vegetation and animals just start to destroy
With 3
concrete
heads.
and roads.
With 3 heads.
Nah.
You can buy yourself a trip there to see.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what's so Eurydice went, Rob went. Rob, what do you want to do next year? Your turn. What do you like about this year, if anything?
Boy, next year I'd like to get out of the house more.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much ends there. I gave up on, not completely on optimism, but partially on optimism.
Yeah.
Sometime around June. Yep. Oh, you guys want to meet my wife? Come on in.
No more optimism.
Hello.
Hello.
Got breakfast. This is my wife, Margaret. If you have any questions about coronavirus, she's the person to talk to.
We actually, yeah, let's get her in on this.
Okay.
I think, Greg, you had some coronavirus run-ins recently, which sucks. I don't know if you want people to know about it, but oh, you're muted still, Greg. You're still muted, Greg. Somehow you're muted. What the
Just
heck?
mime it to us, Greg.
Unmute audio.
I was in a box.
Okay, hold on. There you go.
Oh,
Now we can hear you. Try again, Greg.
I still
Oh,
can't.
no.
No.
Okay, something wrong with your mic now. Damn it. Yeah, I can't hear your speaker. Your speaker's off or it's on to something else. Okay, he'll rejoin. But yeah, Greg, I think he'll share it, but he's got some. I don't want to say because we're live streaming. So if he's only if he's comfortable with it, will we talk about it? Yeah.
Oh.
So
Speaking of coronavirus, so Margaret has been working for the past 30 years, helping to re-engineer viruses to be anti-cancer agents. And
That's
which
cool.
is a fascinating thing, yeah, to be looking at. And now she's having trouble finding funding. All the funding's going to coronavirus, not to her particular brand of research. So she's faced with some tough decisions in the new year.
That's crazy. You'd think that anything related to viral stuff would be increasing in funding.
Well, it's just temporary, right? Till they get till the pandemic goes, and then the COVID money will dry up. But there's a hell of a lot of COVID money out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Can you hear
crazy.
me now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
can hear you now. Yeah.
Hey! It's only like the 5th time it's gone down.
I was wondering why you're so quiet. You're usually not this quiet. But yeah,
So in terms of questions for her, I've got one which I think is a pretty good one. Many members of my family are very high risk. They work in medical.
Yes.
Multiple RNs, as an example, working directly in hospitals. Most of them have already had COVID. What are the chances that we're going to see a mutation or variation that they might actually get COVID again?
It is possible. Absolutely. There are people that say you can't, or you won't, if you get it, it won't be as bad. But yes, absolutely, there are mutations out there right now. Some of them have gone to the point where it's not as bad. Other ones have gotten really bad, and you can kind of see it in incidences. If they spike in one area, a lot of times that's a new. They could absolutely, until they get the vaccine, they could get it again.
And I have to laugh, aside from sending them all over chicken soup this week, I am utterly amazed that they only got it now.
Yeah.
We live in Connecticut.
The most fascinating thing I learned from Margaret actually about the virus is that there appears to be exposure or long-term exposure to viral load that determines how bad a case you get. So maybe it was just that as they were exposed over and over again, the disease finally was able to find a foothold. I noticed that.
Yeah, that's part of it. And also, like you said, the mutations. They also have come out with new research that says certain people with certain markers are more susceptible to bad outcomes, and that has to do with the way the immune system reacts to. But that's kind of preliminary data, so they test everybody for that because that'd be too expensive.
So, anybody else got a question for a viral expert?
And Tim, the vaccine, the mRNA will. What happens is it injects into your body changes it to protein, then your body attacks the protein. There's no DNA involved. mRNA does not go to DNA, and it does not influence DNA. DNA influences mRNA.
Ooh, I like that.
So here's another question about art, because you live in Vancouver and Burnaby and all those areas, and you kind of know more. You look at Surrey versus Richmond. Richmond has an incredibly low per capita infection rate, incredibly low. Like the numbers are just in the hundreds, if that. And then you look at Surrey, and it's just the opposite. It's horrific in terms of the outbreaks. Is this cultural in terms of like people not wanting to wear masks,
Yes,
clean hands,
absolutely.
or what?
It's cultural, and because in Richmond, as we all know, knowing Chinese populations, every time there's any kind of sickness, they all put their masks on anyways. So they're very, and I know I work with a lot of Chinese people who say that they're all very germophobic. So they're taking every precaution. In Surrey, the problem is that there's a lot of cultural pressure with weddings. you need that multi-day, multi-family, big weddings. Nobody's wearing masks. But it's also the Fraser Health area, Abbotsford and Chilliwack have a lot of alt-right religious nut jobs out there.
That's for sure.
And they're the ones, sorry.
He lives in Mission.
And they're
Steve's
also the
laughing.
problem. They're also the problem. They're saying, you know, don't wear a mask, come to church en masse, you know, all this other stuff. So those are the two reasons why Surrey's so bad. But yes, it definitely is. I was talking to some people and they were saying that with Surrey, it's split into two groups. One group that wants everybody to wear a mask and stuff like that. And a group that says, no, we've got our culture, we've got our traditions, we have to go on. The problem is that the ones that espouse the tradition bully the other ones into coming to these events because it's a family event. So that's why it's so bad. Absolutely, it's cultural, a lot of it.
Right. So it depends if those cultures celebrate Christmas or take advantage of the holidays to get together under some other excuse. We'll see. And then, do you know anything about the distribution of the vaccine in Canada? I know that they did it in Quebec and Ontario last week. It was around 30,000, and then they made some here, right? I thought there was an initial first woman that was first nurse that was inoculated, I guess, last week or earlier on this week.
A friend of mine just got it in Regina. She's a doctor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they are. So I know, and I think they're trying to do like care workers first.
Yeah, of course.
And then the seniors, and then frontline workers. But I'm not sure what the rollout is. But I know that they have that's with the Pfizer. Now the other one's coming in Moderna, and they'll have more of that. So.
Now, which one contains the microchip?
They both.
That's what
do.
I want to know.
They both do.
Right.
It's
Okay.
nice because you won't even have to get up to change your TV channels.
Right.
Fingers, right? It'll be awesome.
So if I want to verify my chip, do I use a Bluetooth sensor or?
I think you have
I'm
to be-
not sure yet. I'm not sure.
You have to ask Bill Gates.
I always tell people who ask that question, Greg, you have to stand next to a very big power source. So go stand next to that microwave transmitter and see what happens. You know, if you die, you've got a faulty chip. Oh.
Well, I wanted to try to hack it.
Yeah.
I think it works like a YubiKey. Like you destroy it if you try to hack it.
The thing that makes me laugh about people that talk about microchips is like your phone, your everything, all your smart devices, governments, if they want to, can track you anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, they're all about, hey, you're invading my privacy, yet they upload everything to iCloud.
Yeah, and so exactly. So I don't think there's any reason to microchip everybody.
Yeah. Or they're on Twitter giving everybody their location.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah. The government's infringing upon my rights, they put on Twitter as I go to the anti-mask event in downtown Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what's is there like I'm guessing the other thing from the since we have you here, Margaret, if is there any correlation now, I guess, with all the safety stuff where we're just not having flus anymore in certain areas that are just like Richmond, for example, they're like their hospitals are empty because no one's getting flus at all because everyone's wearing masks.
They showed that in Australia because Australia's flu season is in our summer.
Yeah.
No, there was no flu season. I have a friend that works at the CDC. I'm actually trying to get a job there as well. She does the COVID testing, but along with COVID, they also test for flu. There's been very few flu incidences of flu, and that's all because of the enhanced cleaning and stuff.
Huh. So if we actually did the proper response to COVID, a side benefit might have been a few strains of the flu just going away entirely.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't go away. They'd just come back next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they would once we started communicating again, there'd be more strains coming out anyway.
Exactly. It's not
And with influenza in particular, I believe, and she can validate this, but influenza, there's essentially new strains every year.
Yeah. That's the problem with RNA viruses.
Yeah, they mutate quickly, right?
Flu and that they're easily mutated.
Yeah.
So yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So
one thing I've heard a bit about, and maybe she has something to say on this, is that there are actually multiple strains of COVID going around,
Yes.
and that the multiple strains are very different in the reactions that the body can have to them.
Yes. That's true.
Okay.
And also they have found that people that have had COVID, not COVID-19, but other coronaviruses, don't have a strong as bad a reaction to the COVID-19. There's similarities with all the COVIDs, so they've already built bodies. So that's why a lot of times, like, that's why they think people, there was a lot of death, but there was, of the people infected, most people didn't get really sick, and they think they've been exposed to coronaviruses through all their wet markets for years and stuff. So
Yeah, they're like exposing all the different species to one another.
yeah,
Didn't they have one like a mink farm recently? So minks, cats,
Yeah.
dogs, they all transmit. But I'm not sure if it goes back to humans, right? I think only certain species go back the other way.
yeah, they weren't sure, so they just called them anyway. That was in Denmark and here in BC.
Yeah.
Just calling all the minks.
Wasn't there one in Oregon too? A mink farm in Oregon?
Possibly.
I think there might have been one
But
there
I know
too.
in Denmark, it's a huge business, and they have to call millions upon millions of mink. So I guess there's going to be a lot of mink coats for sale now.
Yeah. Well, if you're not an animal rights person, that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I had another question for you. Oh yeah. So in your day-to-day work, how do you how has the technology improved in how you do your research on viruses? And before it was kind of hard to do, and
Yeah.
you had to have a
It's-
lot of samples to get one experiment going.
Yeah.
Now, like a tiny sample amount can like be used as the source for a lot of experiments.
Oh yeah, I mean it's grown exponentially, and with the new CRISPR technology, I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
No, please explain.
So it's a technology that again was found in bacteria and stuff like that, and they can so when we do our gene therapy and gene targeting, we kind of get the gene to integrate into the body, into the human body, but it'll integrate in the DNA somewhere, and we're just hoping that so you can have what's called off-target effects. So it can potentially go somewhere, maybe start up a gene or something like that. But CRISPR, it's targeted. It's kind of like the difference between carpet bombing and smart bombing. So the CRISPR technology will allow you to target that specific gene and even a base pair and change it. So there's no that gene is special, that gene specifically. So it's just way better.
Tim, Margaret had a bit of information for you about the mRNA virus.
Oh yeah, because of that woman that was saying that it's
You know what? So she has to go back and learn her basic high school biology
okay.
because it goes in mRNA and RNA viruses, they have what's called reverse transcriptase, and they can switch their RNA when it goes into the human cell, change their RNA to DNA, and then the body will take that and replicate it. In all other species, it goes DNA to mRNA to protein. mRNA will not influence the DNA.
Yeah, that's what I was reading, that it goes from DNA to RNA and then it converts to protein. That's what I heard as well.
Yeah. And so this mRNA vaccine is just the RNA. It's none of the virus other than the mRNA that targets the spike.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that the toxic metals would turn me into a 5G antenna. That's apparently what they're
Unfortunately, they won't, because the mercury, if they
that'd be kind of cool though. I get FM radio signals and I can
I know. Well,
I can talk to
microchip will do
Steve.
You could earn.
that for you. The microchip will do that for you.
I could be like the service bus. I could be like the service bus, a live one.
When Tim is offline, he has a tin hat that he made.
Yeah.
That he wears. So.
I don't have to wear it anymore. If I
So
get
my brothers in Alberta are huge conspiracy nuts, conspiracy theories, and I think was it you that sent Rob or my brother Paul the thing on how to make a tinfoil hat or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, anytime that I get these people that pop up, I usually run it past Rob because I know that you're in that background and you deal with like trying to make viruses be friendly to fight cancer, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that's your background. So I always kind of bounce it off him first before I, start thinking about becoming a 5G antenna. I was kind of excited about that though, like, geez.
Well, Margaret just mentioned her brothers, and this was very interesting and disconcerting to watch. But one of her brothers, who we love dearly, has been radicalized by QAnon and believes all this stuff. So he refers to Bill Gates as kill Gates. He refers to the pandemic as the plandemic.
Yeah.
And I'm going, dude, you've got an expert on viruses in your family. Why on earth? Why are you listening to some guy in his mom's basement?
I don't know. It's part of the human psyche. Some people just, but you know what's interesting? During the Spanish flu, a lot of the same protests that are happening nowadays with not wearing masks happened during the Spanish flu. There's photos, black and white photos of people trying to get on the trolley and the guy pushing them off saying, wear your mask. And he's like, this is against my civil rights kind of thing. So nothing new.
The difference was they were allowed to arrest them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they would just, back then they had billy clubs. They just beat you with them, right? Nowadays it's like they beat you and then you're like, I'm going to sue you. And everybody's lawyered up in 5 minutes,
Yeah, exactly.
So.
But the advantage is that the people doing the beating are wearing masks, so it's hard to identify.
That is true.
Yeah.
The beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yeah. Very true.
Where's that from? Wasn't that a cartoon?
I find it.
Oh, that was a Dilbert, wasn't it?
Dilbert, yeah.
That was
Dilbert, yeah.
Have you been watching the author of Dilbert?
Oh God, no.
Scott Adams, what's he up to?
A lot of interesting
go
stuff.
pull him up on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I know he used to do a lot of really fun stuff. He went into this was years ago. He went into a company as a motivational expert, and he did it as a joke. And he actually started getting the executives who he met with compose a song about how great their company was. And they fell for it. Like they literally, and then at the end of it, he had to say, well, actually, I'm Scott Adams. I'm the guy who created Dilbert, and you've all been punked.
And you're all fools.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see what he's doing now. Where's my Twitter feed? All right.
He is not the most trusting individual of government. I'll put it that way.
Guys.
See you, Margaret.
Yeah, the difference is when Margaret walks into a room and talks about her job, people get interested. When I walk into a room and talk about my job, people fall asleep.
You've just been working on the wrong projects.
I guess so. Well, except for you guys. You all find me fascinating, I'm sure.
Debatable.
No, seriously, if you go work on some of the good projects, you can walk into a room and depending on the conversational people, you're like, holy shit. One of my favorites I worked on was building out the entire information system for the police department.
Well, that would be cool. Yeah,
I can tell you how everything actually works internally. And then suddenly people are like, oh shit, that's actually really interesting. How does that work?
Yeah, when I do that, I mention Pornhub and everybody just like, get things thrown at me and like stuff like that.
Jesus, Tim.
Really, that's some fascinating scaling questions about Pornhub there, Tim.
Yeah.
I used to work in video games and in entertainment, and then people would think I had a cool job when my job was to go into the office and make Popeye smile. Everybody thought that was pretty cool, but
yeah. Hey, I'm still think that's cool, man. Like, listen, I'm doing web, but it's just because at this point in my life, it's a trade-off between like, hey, you have a nice pay job, you're getting older, you need a family, you start from zero in gaming with the shitty pay and stuff like that. But I still think that's way cooler than freaking moving data from left and right and like do the
Well,
exact
the
same
shitty-
thing forever.
The shitty pay in gaming never really ends.
Yeah,
Because you have to calculate out your hourly rate.
yeah,
And,
you know, you gotta
Yeah,
love those. Hey,
I've
Rob,
heard some devs from the CD Projekt that released the Cyberpunk, and they were working nighttime, almost all the time recently just to finish this off.
Yeah, nothing
There are
like
some of the worst ones are probably in finance.
oh, really? Do tell.
Oh, yeah.
Did you read Flash Boys? The book came out a few years ago about that was about trading.
Yeah, I used to do trading.
Okay, so you know all that, the stuff. Yeah. Okay.
I was actually doing trading when Adam and I met.
Yeah, Wolverton.
Yep.
Good old Wolverton.
Adam, that's a really disturbing picture.
What?
Yes, it is.
they look related. I don't know. There's a conspiracy there. We can start making T-shirts.
So the interesting thing about both gaming and finance is the culture. Like gaming, it stands out more. Like the people that are in senior positions in gaming for the last 10 years, right, are mostly people that when they were young, this was new and they got into it, and they spent most of their waking hours making a game. And that was basically, they have this feeling that they did their time, right? And now these new people coming up need to do their time. The problem was, if at that, the incentives are different. At that time, if you had a successful game, right, and that got out, those people are now set for life, money-wise. Now you're asking people to give the same sweat, but they don't own a piece of it. They are doing it for hour. They're doing it for salary.
Yeah, I've got a war story about that, Rick. The year before I joined EA out in Burnaby, I think 2005, 2006. So in that area, when I joined, the recruiter who got me said last year, the year before I joined, everybody on the team you're going to receive a bonus of 100% of their salary. I went, wow. So I was really incentivized to work hard and didn't worry too much about the overtime the first year I was at EA. And then my bonus came by and I opened it, and my manager gave it to me with an apology, and it was $1,500. I basically would have done better to work 9 to 5 at EA and then go flip burgers at McDonald's.
So what you're telling me, Rob, is you were the first one in that trend.
Oh yeah, Tim.
Started it.
It's like my stock trading ability. Like I always say, buy high, sell low. That's me.
And
Now,
one thing I would say, one of the perks of being a game developer after, X amount of 20 years being a senior one is they're all pretty much divorced too. Right?
Yes. Oh, exactly.
now,
I mean, I can see that.
to be honest, I know some people that are at EA now, and they basically said over the last couple of years, it's like such a difference in the pressure, and they're not pushing, like they're talking to the people about, well, you tell us what you can accomplish this year. Here's what we want to do. You say, and they actually, are getting listened to. So they're
Well, Rick, but I'm not going back.
now I'm not saying that's your ideal world, but I think they realize the environment they're in, and they're trying to change their culture to match it. It's still you're not going to work for that huge life-changing thing.
Yeah.
No, you're not. But there's also a difference. Like when I was in gaming, I kind of realized I didn't belong there. There was 2 things we used to talk about that I really, really liked. So one of them was math. Getting my math back up was really, really fascinating because there were practical applications and
It was all linear stuff, right?
yeah. But we used to talk about a lot of different stuff. Relay transforms, which is
Yeah.
linear
There's a lot of
and
linear algebra in
calculus, and we also did one time we did this thing, this prime number proof. How can you prove any number is prime? Which was really quite fast. Well, I think it would be to people here too.
Well, tell us.
But
Tell us
what
how
I
to find them.
I can't. I'm gonna embarrass myself trying. This was too long ago. But what I noticed though, people in gaming today, and it hasn't changed, at night they're playing online. In the morning they go to work. At lunch they go play board games. Then they finish their work, they go home and they go online and play games again. And so they're real fanatics, and that's what keeps them in the gaming business. I'm not like that. Like,
They just want to swim in the world of games at any cost.
yeah.
Fair,
Sure.
that's pretty much how
People in
all
local
the people that are game developers came up.
sports nuts.
Yep.
Right.
Yes, very true.
But-
Adam forces me to play board games once in a while, and I do enjoy it.
Good.
I don't typically play board games just or get a whole bunch of friends over to play board games.
To be fair, for people my age, that's where most of video game developers came from.
Yep.
I work with a really cool guy. I'd have to look up his name. He's from Finland. Very, very competent game designer. But he still says the only way you can build a video game is to design it as a board game first. Get all your strategy down to a board and let everybody see the totality of that game. And then it becomes fun. Then it becomes interesting. And it prevents things that I don't know if anybody Dead Space, the first version of Dead Space, but there was
What's your favorite game?
my favorite game actually is Dark Watch, which is very old. But it's vampires and cowboys, man. How can you go wrong with that?
Do you know what mine is?
What's yours?
Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
That's disturbing from a man who doesn't have a young daughter, Adam. But
If you ever
okay.
watch South Park, you know where Hello Kitty Island Adventure comes from.
Mine's Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh yeah, good one, Tim. I like it.
I've been
So
playing
no one
Dota 2
knows
for the
Hello
last 10
Kitty
years.
Island Adventure? My God.
No, I did used to play a lot of Myst. I don't know if anybody remembers Myst. I'm good at it.
That was a good one. Apparently, they were rebuilding it for VR or 4K or something.
Really? Well, that'd be
Leisure
cool.
Suit Larry?
No, Myst.
They got to turn that into a VR game. I'm in, man. Take my money.
Yo, Loki, that's
Okay, I'm
something
gonna
that is.
throw out-
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw out another one here.
Yeah.
Master of Orion.
Look that up.
Yeah, remember that. Or remember King's Quest back in the day? Well, of course, a lot of people remember King's Quest.
The
I had a
Sierra,
lot of Amiga games. I remember like Curse of the Azure Bonds, that kind of stuff.
Monkey Island.
Yeah, Curse of the Monkey Island. Is that what the full name was? Was it Curse of the Monkey
Like
Island?
that.
Or is it
And
just
there's like the
Monkey
Indiana
Island?
Jones game built in the same sort of.
How many people here played Master of Orion?
I might have. I don't remember. I played so many
I think
video
way
games back in the day.
I would have played it for sure.
It was a crazy, crazy strategy game where you, for instance, had your own race going against other alien races, and you had to choose like how to spend your capital. Are you putting it into research? Are you putting it into building defenses? Are you putting it into
Oh, there's a new version of this, Greg. It's Solaris, isn't it? Isn't that like Solaris? Who's played that? I think it's called Solaris.
I'm a fan of StarCraft.
Not StarCraft. No, I remember StarCraft.
They've released some free versions of StarCraft on the online.
Yeah, it's free. You can download it and
Should we
play
play?
it.
Is there something where like 11 people can play a game? I know there's what's it called? There's the one that's Among Us, where you know who knows Among Us.
Heard it's pretty good.
There's
I'm
that.
actually going to take
I've
off.
You
never
have to like
played- I've
there's
never
one
played.
person that's the murderer, and you have to eliminate them. Who's played it?
I watch it in Twitch. I just don't have enough friends to play.
But there's like this could be a Friday thing where after the meetup, people can stick around for another hour and play a couple
Yes,
of
yes.
rounds of Among Us, because it's
A couple
kind of
of
neat. You have
rounds.
to figure out who the person is that's the murderer, and no one knows except the murderer themselves. Then you walk around and you have a bunch of duties on the ship, and you have to do them or everyone dies. So there's places where you have to split off. And it's a very socially kind of interactive game because of that. So if you plan it right, you can witness the murder, and then you have to convince everyone else in the sort of boardroom call, like a Zoom call after that, oh, it's this person that did it. Here's my proof. And the other person says, oh no, he's the one. And if they're actually good at twisting the reason
It
the
sounds a
other
lot
way,
like Clue.
sort of, but each time you meet, you toss the person off the ship. So if you toss the wrong people off the ship and the last one standing is the murderer, because in between all of the meetings he's just stabbing people and killing them, those people that are dead can't go back and defend themselves and influence the conversation at the next meeting because they're gone from the ship.
It's like one of
So
those vampires, werewolves kind of games. That people
yeah, sort of, but way more fun because it's got the video game aspect of running around and doing stuff. And if you don't do those things, then you I bought that game. I never had a chance to play it yet, Rick. But that's like an in-person thing, right?
Which one?
The vampires and werewolves thing.
Yeah, it's an in-person thing.
Yeah.
You could probably maybe play it on Zoom or whatever. You know what else is kind of nonsensy and fun is Jackbox Games.
Yeah, of course. We used to play it at the meetup.
They have it online now, so
do they?
You can buy a Steam license.
No, I have it. I have a Steam license, but then it's about getting the actual what's it called? Sharing of the audio. I guess
basically what you do is you do Jackbox Games. You just play it over Zoom and you
yeah.
audio.
I think we tried it before, and I think who was it? Eric that was doing it. Do you remember? And there was too much of a delay for it to be really good.
Yeah, we did try it.
I just did it. Some other people did a little social, and we played it, and it worked great.
Okay, well, I have them all, so I can.
Yeah,
I can run that.
I ended up buying it because I want to play with some people. Like, there's some people I want to socialize with over the Christmas holidays that we usually normally get together, and I want to find some easy jump into game, and that's what I thought that was good, right?
Well, I'll try to run it. I have them all, so we should be able to play it if you want. That's a good way to end the meeting. We can still chat while we do all that because it's just kind of runs in the back
I
end.
actually have a real question here that someone might be able to help with.
Go for it.
So has anybody here ever used a Fire Stick?
My dad has.
Oh, the Amazon Fire Stick, right?
Yes. I am looking for an embedded system that's similar to that.
Like a US,
That I
like a
can
thumb
program.
drive computer?
Yes.
There should be some things like that. Like you wanted to plug into a TV in a hotel and just hook up to USB and just have a keyboard and everything you need, right?
That's one possibility for it, but I actually have some embedded systems ideas that I want to do with it.
Right.
Like,
I
how
know that
fucking
there's.
cool would it be if it connected to your event store instance and told you all about your event store instance?
Yeah, of course. Yes, you could do that. Oh shoot, I gotta get my password here.
Guys, I'm taking off this
You know
one.
who has a bunch of where to look for a bunch of those types of devices is any of the white hat hacker community things. I think on Amazon you can find some things that are more programmable like that, Greg. I was looking at them because I do a lot of. I wanted to have a Linux distro on a USB stick and play around with some of those little devices to have a few flavors of them to be able to boot up and I don't know, run some diagnostics on some machines or whatever. But it would serve the same purpose as plugging it in for your like event store thing. So that would be kind of neat because you could sell them as a product and say, here, just plug this in and it'll diagnose whatever. You could even have like a call home thing so you could do whatever you wanted from your end.
Well,
right?
no, what I wanted to do is basically you take it, you plug it into a TV, it asks you for the IP address of any of the nodes in your cluster.
Right.
It discovers your cluster and then it starts showing you statistics about your cluster on the TV.
Oh, for like it would be easy for the office. You just plug it in and it's done.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. That's actually a really good idea.
Probably hack together something on Raspberry Pi pretty quickly.
Yeah, but then you can take that to a better, smaller embedded thing, which will be way more portable.
That's
but yeah,
the
for
thing.
sure.
Yeah, first get it
I
working.
want you to be able to just plug the damn thing in, and it literally asks you for an IP address, and you're done.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be good.
You want it to be cheap, so Raspberry Pi might be a little more than you want people to get, or
The thing that I'm looking at is more I can do it on a Raspberry Pi, that's no problem, but the form factor.
form factor, right?
I mean, it's basically a big USB key at the end of the day. You just plug it into your TV and you're done.
You can see if Roku might have like images or something. Have somebody hack, because that's got the same thing. It's got the form factor. It's got the HDMI out. It's got an internet connection if you need it. I think you can plug it in. It does Wi-Fi, internet. Like it's got the basics that you need, right? So
Hey,
they might have
Rick, which Jackbox one do you want to play? I have all 6 packs.
all 6 packs. What's like there's a Fibbage which people get to put in. It's like trivia, but people get to put in guesses.
Yeah, no, I know Fibbage. I'm just wondering if there's another one that's more fun or
terrible draw things. Apparently that's good.
I like that one. I mean, we all basically use our phones to scribble stuff.
And then
Drawsome, right? It's called Drawsome.
I think Draw Full or
Drawsome.
I don't know. Draw something.
Yeah, it's called Drawsome.
There's there's one where you can do presentations, but I wouldn't suggest that for today. But,
No. There's Quiplash as well, which was decent. I tried one with my son that was quite fun. That was Backeteering, which is kind of making fake news, which is kind of neat. Trying to fool people about if it's a real story or not. But that's a little bit.
There's one that actually makes you guess stats stuff. Like this percentage of
Bidiots. Bidiots is good. Have you played Bidiots?
No.
That's a good one too. I'm not sure if we have enough. Like some of them don't support enough players, but I'm gonna get the ones that have at least Quiplash and Fibbage. Now, which is the latest Fibbage? Is there an upgrade? Did they upgrade the questions? Yeah, Fibbage 3, right? That's the latest one.
Yeah, there's one. The one you get, the latest pack is the one that would have the latest upgrade, right? So
yeah, but I'm wondering if the individual games update themselves or not. There's a Party Pack 4 is the last one with Fibbage in it, I think.
Yeah,
is that
the latest?
Is that accurate?
I don't know.
Is that accurate? Now we should be able to do this pretty well because I upgraded this internet connection to fiber because it's offered in our neighborhood, so it should be pretty decent performance wise.
So I'm gonna make a quick washroom run before you start a game.
No, we're still far away from that. I want to see if I can get that Party Pack for. I bought these a long time ago when we were still doing things in the office, long ago.
You remember back in the good days, good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. Friggin', I have Faster Than Light. I forgot how many cool games I have. Who's played Faster Than Light? Anybody? It's very frustrating. Faster Than Light. It's a spaceship maintenance. What else do I have that's fun? Papers,
Spaceship
Please.
Maintenance does not sound like a fun game.
No, it's stressful. But it's very stressful. It's free, but here's a awesome one. Papers, Please. Who's done Papers, Please? You're a border guard in an Eastern Bloc country, so Krzysztof would really like it. It's very Eastern European like, and you have to send people on their way. You have to check passport for if it looks like them, if they have bad expiration time and all this. And it's basically the life of living in a communist state, working at the border in the passport office. It's a game.
The data and stats people might like Guespionage.
Yeah.
Party Pack 3. Basically, you have to get like what percentage of people have this or something like that.
Oh, okay, we can try that.
Stats. I haven't played it, but my wife.
But I think we're gonna play this first.
Oh my goodness! All right, I'll be back in a few.
No.
Oh, Jesus.
I think it's Tim's favorite game. He plays it all the time at work.
Which one you talking about?
The
This
one on
one?
the screen.
No, Leisure Suit Larry was. But I kept getting
Not
fired.
Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
Man, now I want to play Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah, I wonder if it must be like some JavaScript implementations that you can just play online.
I know, but every time I played it, I ended up getting fucking fired from my job, and I don't know why. Right? Like, hey guys, let's play Leisure Suit Larry, and the next thing I know, I'm in HR.
What was the thing that Rick was saying? Oh, there's Civic Doodle, which is okay. Oh, Survive the Internet is the one I was thinking of. That's a good one. I think it would be neat to see how people do with the bidiots, because I think that has a neat has a money component to it. You bid on artwork. It takes a couple of I think it takes about a round to get used to it, but it's pretty good. Let me just see if I can play this, and we'll try bidiots.
I'm just going to walk outside for 2 or 3 minutes.
Damn it. All right. Should I include the sound? I guess this one might not need sound. I was looking for a game that also doesn't need sound, because that's kind of annoying.
I think all the Jackbox games are sound.
No, the Bidiots one I don't think does. I think you can do everything from that. So let's just do a quick round just so people understand how this works. Let's see, where are we? Fibbage to Bidiots. I need to press start. No, okay, I see. Bidiots. Let's see, now I can just... So you have to go to jackbox.tv on your phones. And this is annoying music. I'll add the computer music
On our phones.
if it needs to be. Yeah, it has to be through the phone. So you watch the screen.
Your phone is your controller.
Yeah, your phone's your controller.
It's just a simple web app.
Let's see if I can turn down the damn volume of this thing. More actions. Oh, it doesn't have a volume. Oh, but it does actually. Oh, that is so cool. I can float over the volume control on the actual minimized app, and it'll control the volume of just that app.
Really?
Can you do that?
What's the
Rick?
room code?
KLFK. I'm gonna share the screen. Hold on.
Oh, we got some people on YouTube can jump in too, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. KLFK.
Wait, are you streaming this to YouTube?
Yeah.
It is.
Did I just show my back to the entire YouTube?
Oh, yeah,
my
no, I did.
God.
No, I didn't start.
Oh
This.
my God.
No. You know what? I didn't do it until after that. So you're lucky. I'm Barjars, by the
I
way.
won't press the everyone's in button. I'll let you.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
first person in the game kind of automatically gets to be kind of the
Yeah, let us know when you're in. Hey, who else is in here? Let us know if everyone's in.